A few months ago, an event so extraordinary and life-changing occurred that it completely transformed how I perceive the spiritual world, the nature of God, and the concepts of good and evil. My name is Lisa May. I'm 28 years old, a trauma nurse working in the high-pressure environment of a busy emergency room in New York City. I've been married to John, my supportive husband, for several years, and we share a beautiful 5-year-old daughter named Anna. It was a Friday night, and the ER was at full capacity, buzzing with urgency. A devastating multi-car accident on the freeway had sent a stream of critically injured patients our way, as the medical team worked tirelessly to stabilize those fighting for their lives. Chaos filled every corner of the room. I was assisting a gravely ill patient when I heard the call for another ambulance arriving with a new emergency. Without hesitation, I rushed to help. In my haste, I didn't notice the pool of blood on the floor. I slipped and fell backward, my head colliding with the sharp corner of a metal supply cart. The searing pain was immediate and overwhelming. The last thing I remember before losing consciousness was the panicked expressions of my coworkers. I later learned that I had suffered a severe traumatic brain injury. The impact caused my brain to swell dangerously, necessitating emergency surgery to relieve the pressure. During the operation, my heart stopped for several minutes before the doctors managed to restart it. But in those moments when my heart was still, something profound and unexplainable happened. If you believe in God and near-death experiences, subscribe to Life at NDE today. Discover inspiring messages from God through powerful near-death stories that bring hope and understanding. Hit subscribe now and join us in spreading the light of faith. The first sensation I recall was an all-encompassing sense of peace. It was as though the noise, pain, and frantic energy of the ER had been completely erased. For the first time in my life, I felt utterly calm and weightless, unburdened by fear or worry. As I tried to understand where I was, I noticed that this peace wasn't just an absence of pain, it was something much greater. It was as though I was surrounded by love, a presence that felt comforting and eternal. I didn't see walls, people, or the hospital around me anymore. Instead, I felt like I had entered a place beyond anything I could imagine. And what followed was an experience that would forever change my view of life, death, and everything in between. I felt as though I was floating on air, weightless and free. I was in a place of unimaginable beauty and light, unlike anything I had ever known. Everything around me radiated a sense of love and peace that words cannot fully capture. In the distance, I saw a bright light that drew me in. It was brighter than the sun but not harsh or blinding. Instead, it emitted warmth and comfort, inviting me closer. As I looked around, I noticed a figure moving toward me. At first, it was just a silhouette, but as it drew nearer, I realized it was Jesus. I know how impossible that might sound, but there was no doubt in my heart about who he was. His presence radiated love, wisdom, and peace in a way that felt beyond human comprehension. He greeted me by name, saying, "Lisa, you've arrived earlier than expected. But there's something important I need to show you before you return." I was overwhelmed by his presence, but I managed to ask, "Am I not staying?" With a gentle smile, Jesus replied, "Not yet, Isabella. Your work on earth is not finished. What I'm about to show you will help you understand the true nature of the battle you're part of." Suddenly, the scene around us shifted. The peaceful light gave way to a place so breathtaking that words could never do it justice. I realized we were in heaven, but it was far more magnificent than anything I could have imagined. Everything shimmered with an otherworldly brilliance, and the air seemed alive with music. It wasn't just ordinary music, it was as if joy and love had been transformed into sound, resonating in perfect harmony. Jesus pointed toward one angel in particular. It was more radiant than the others, its light shining with an intensity that was almost overwhelming. The angel's voice led the heavenly choir, creating a harmony so exquisite that it felt like my very soul was being lifted. Every note carried a sense of profound joy and unity, filling me with a sense of belonging and purpose. It was in this moment that I began to grasp the vastness and beauty of what lies beyond our earthly existence. And I knew that what I was experiencing would change my life forever. Jesus turned to me and said, "This is Lucifer as he once was. Watch closely." for few have ever seen what you are about to witness. I saw a being of unimaginable beauty, adorned with what looked like emeralds, rubies, and diamonds, reflecting dazzling light. His enormous wings shimmered with every color, and his presence radiated charisma, drawing all attention to him. When Lucifer sang, heaven itself seemed to tremble with the power of his voice. Jesus explained, Lucifer was the highest of angels, the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and beauty. It was hard to imagine how such a magnificent being could fall. Jesus showed me the subtle beginning of his pride. Lucifer admired his reflection in the golden streets of heaven, comparing himself to other angels. His thoughts were clear. Why should I bow to anyone? I am the most beautiful and talented. I deserve to be worshipped. Pride, Jesus said, is the root of all sin. It transforms love into selfishness and gratitude into entitlement. As I watched, I understood how this gradual shift turned Lucifer's heart away from God, setting the stage for rebellion and the devastating consequences that followed. Lucifer's pride soon manifested in his actions. He began performing his songs and movements with exaggerated flair, as if seeking applause rather than leading worship. I saw him whispering to other angels, sowing seeds of doubt. He's telling them that God is withholding something from them. Jesus explained, Lucifer's words were tempting. Don't you think we deserve more? We are powerful and beautiful. Why should we worship God? Why can't we be gods ourselves? I watched as confusion and doubt rippled through the angelic host, spreading like a wave across heaven. Some angels stood firm, unwavering in their devotion to God, their loyalty shining brightly even amidst the growing uncertainty. But others, captivated by Lucifer's seductive vision of equality with God, began to falter. His influence was undeniable, and I could feel the heartbreak of heaven as this once perfect creation began to spread corruption among those who had once known only light and love. Lucifer's charisma was astonishing. Jesus explained to me that free will is a double-edged sword, capable of fostering love and devotion but also leading to rejection and rebellion. Watching Lucifer wield his influence was both shocking and unsettling. He used his gifts of beauty and intelligence to manipulate, asking questions that seemed innocent on the surface but were carefully crafted to sow dissatisfaction and doubt. Have you ever wondered why God keeps the tree of knowledge for himself? He would ask. Don't we deserve that knowledge too? Or, why should we bow to humans? Aren't we greater than they are? These questions resonated with many, planting seeds of pride and envy among the angels who had never before questioned their Creator. One of the most profound moments of this vision was seeing God's sadness. Jesus revealed to me that God's heart was breaking, not out of anger, but because of his immense love for Lucifer and all the angels. God had given them free will because true love cannot exist without choice. Even in heaven, every being had the freedom to choose whether to love and obey God, or to reject him. I saw God reaching out to Lucifer time and time again, offering him opportunities to turn back, to abandon the path of rebellion. Each time, Lucifer's pride grew stronger, hardening his resolve and blinding him to the love that still surrounded him. It was devastating to witness the refusal of so many chances to reconcile. And I could sense the sorrow that filled heaven with every passing moment. As Lucifer's pride deepened, so did his influence. About a third of the angels began to follow him, their loyalty shifting under the weight of his persuasive words. I watched as he, surrounded by his followers, stood boldly before God's throne and declared, I will ascend above the tops of the clouds. I will make myself the Most High. The moment those words were spoken, everything changed. The brilliant light that had once radiated from Lucifer dimmed visibly, and I saw darkness creeping into his being, consuming the purity that had once defined him. His beauty and radiance began to fade, replaced by shadows and a growing emptiness. Then, in a sudden flash of light, the archangel Michael appeared, flanked by a legion of loyal angels. Their presence was a stark contrast to the growing darkness around Lucifer and his followers. Jesus said, Now there is war in heaven. The battle that followed was unlike anything I could have imagined. It wasn't fought with swords or physical weapons but with streams of radiant light clashing against encroaching darkness. The loyal angels, led by Michael, stood firm, their light shining brightly as they pushed back the darkness of rebellion. Lucifer and his followers fought fiercely, their forms twisting further with every act of defiance. It was deeply heartbreaking to witness how far Lucifer had fallen and how his rebellion had corrupted not only himself but also the angels who chose to follow him. Once a being of unparalleled beauty and brilliance, he was now consumed by darkness. His light diminished and his purpose twisted. The harmony and peace of heaven, once unshakable, were marred by the chaos of his defiance. The rebellion spread like a shadow, tainting the perfection of God's creation and breaking the hearts of those who remained faithful. Yet, amidst the turmoil, there was hope. The steadfast loyalty of Michael and the faithful angels stood as a beacon of love and devotion. Their light shone even brighter in the face of darkness, a testament to the enduring power of those who remained aligned with God's truth. They fought not with anger or vengeance but with unwavering commitment to what was right, pushing back the darkness with their light. Their unity and faithfulness demonstrated that no matter how strong evil may appear, it cannot overcome those who stand firmly in God's love. This vision was a sobering reminder of the devastating consequences of pride. It showed how a single seed of arrogance, left unchecked, could lead to unimaginable destruction. Lucifer's fall was not sudden but gradual, a series of choices that turned him further and further away from love and toward self-centeredness. His rebellion revealed the immense responsibility that comes with free will, a gift from God that allows for true love and devotion but also carries the risk of rejection and rebellion. Even in the face of such devastation, the vision also revealed an unshakable truth. Those who stand with God carry a light that cannot be extinguished. This light, rooted in love, humility, and faith, is stronger than any darkness. The loyalty and courage of Michael and the faithful angels illustrated this perfectly. Their steadfastness reminded me that, even in our darkest moments, we have the power to resist evil and shine God's light into the world. This vision taught me that free will is not just a gift but a sacred responsibility. Every choice we make has profound consequences, not just for ourselves but for those around us and for the spiritual reality we are all part of. It reminded me of the importance of humility, gratitude, and love in keeping us aligned with God's will. Lucifer's fall was a cautionary tale, but the faithfulness of the loyal angels offered hope, showing that love and devotion are more powerful than any force of rebellion. Even in the midst of chaos, the light of God's love endures. It is a light that can guide us, strengthen us, and ultimately triumph over any darkness we face. This truth is a reminder that, no matter how great the challenge, standing with God ensures that His light within us will never fade. The battle that unfolded before me was unlike anything I could have ever envisioned. There were no swords or shields, no weapons of physical destruction. Instead, streams of pure, radiant light collided with waves of encroaching darkness. Each clash sent ripples of energy across the expanse of heaven, shaking its very foundations. Michael, the archangel, led the loyal angels with unwavering determination, their brilliance standing as a stark contrast to the consuming shadows of Lucifer and his followers. What struck me most was not just the intensity of the conflict but the transformation of the rebellious angels. Their once glorious forms, radiant and majestic, began to distort and twist as they fought against God's will. The light that had once defined them dimmed, consumed by the very darkness they had embraced. The beauty that had once been their hallmark was replaced by corruption. Their essence eroded with each act of rebellion. Eventually, Lucifer and his followers were driven to the very edge of heaven. In a moment that will remain etched in my memory forever, they were cast out, falling like stars torn from the sky. Their descent was both tragic and terrifying, a visual reminder of the ultimate cost of free will. Jesus explained to me that this was the price of the gift of free will. God, in His infinite wisdom and love, desired a genuine relationship with His creation, one rooted in authenticity, not coercion. He gave every being, including Lucifer, the freedom to choose. Yet, with that freedom came the potential for rejection, rebellion, and even the existence of evil. The lesson was profound. Love cannot be forced. It must always be a choice freely made. Jesus told me that when our Father gave the gift of free will, He fully understood the immense cost it would entail. He knew it would lead to unimaginable pain, including the ultimate sacrifice of his own son. Yet, he also knew that the love born from free choice would outweigh the suffering. This understanding was one of the most awe-inspiring revelations of my vision. Jesus helped me grasp that God's plan is far greater and more beautiful than simply eradicating evil. He allowed the rebellion to occur not because he was powerless to stop it, but because it served a higher purpose. Through this struggle, God is transforming creation, bringing about a greater good that could not have existed otherwise. I saw glimpses of this plan unfolding across history. I witnessed how God is using this battle with evil to reshape the very fabric of existence, to elevate humanity into something extraordinary. The ultimate goal isn't merely to defeat Satan, it's to raise beings who have faced the darkness, understood its cost, and chosen love freely and fully. Jesus revealed that humans, through their struggles and choices, have the unique opportunity to grow into something even angels cannot fully comprehend. He described our lives on earth as a crucible, a place of refinement where every decision and every challenge molds us into beings more like Christ. It's through this process of facing adversity, choosing humility over pride, and embracing love over selfishness that we fulfill our divine potential. The rebellion was not an end but a catalyst for something greater. Through this cosmic drama, God is weaving a story of redemption, one in which love triumphs not through force but through the free will of those who recognize its supreme value. The struggle we face on earth, though painful, is part of this larger, more beautiful plan, designed to bring creation into perfect harmony with its creator. I also came to understand why God doesn't eliminate evil immediately. He is playing the long game, so to speak. The goal is not just to destroy evil but to create beings who have faced its emptiness and chosen love freely and fully. This perspective helped me grasp the deeper meaning of life's struggles and the choices we make. The concept of hell was one of the hardest aspects of my vision to accept. Jesus showed me that hell isn't so much a place God sends people to but a state of being that arises from rejecting love and choosing self-centeredness. I saw how Lucifer's decision to reject God led to his own self-imposed exile. The darkness that consumed him wasn't inflicted by God. It was the natural consequence of turning away from the source of all light and love. Jesus explained, "What you call hell is the final, permanent state of those who, like Lucifer, choose self-love over love for others. It isn't punishment from God but the inevitable result of their choices." When I asked if Lucifer or the fallen angels could ever be saved, Jesus gave me a complicated answer. He showed me that God's love is eternal, and the offer of salvation remains open. However, angels are different from humans. Once they make a choice, it is final in a way that human decisions are not. Their nature makes their rejection of God a permanent and self-chosen path. This revelation helped me see the immense value of our free will and the significance of every choice we make. It is through these choices that we define who we are and draw closer to the love that created us. Jesus explained that angels, including Lucifer, made their choices with full knowledge of the consequences. Unlike humans, they weren't misled or acting out of ignorance. Their rejection of love was absolute, a deliberate decision that, by their nature, couldn't be undone. In contrast, as long as we live, we always have the opportunity for redemption and transformation. Jesus revealed that every person's life is a series of choices, each leading either toward or away from love. The final judgment is not a dramatic courtroom scene but rather the unveiling of the choices we've been making all along. This insight was both comforting and sobering. While the path to love seems simple, resisting temptation and avoiding the traps of pride can be challenging. Jesus emphasized the importance of humility, warning that pride was what led to Lucifer's downfall and remains one of his most effective weapons against humanity. He taught me that true humility doesn't mean thinking less of myself but recognizing my dependence on God and my connection to others. It's about gratitude for what we have rather than resentment over what we lack. Love, Jesus said, is the antidote to pride. When we focus on loving God and others, we become less self-centered and more aligned with our true purpose. During our time together, Jesus showed me how even small acts of love, helping someone in need, forgiving a wrong, or showing kindness, strengthen our bond with God and diminish the influence of darkness in our lives. These simple gestures carry immense spiritual power. rippling outward in ways we may not fully understand. As our time drew to a close, Jesus told me it was time to return. His words stayed with me. Every act of humility, gratitude, and love brings us closer to God, reinforcing the light within us and helping to overcome the forces of darkness. I knew that this experience would change the way I lived my life, giving me a renewed focus on what truly matters, choosing love, resisting pride, and walking humbly with God. Jesus told me to remember what I had seen and share it with others to help them understand the spiritual world and the dangers of pride. He placed his hand on my forehead, and I felt an overwhelming wave of love and peace wash over me. The next thing I knew, I was back in my body, gasping for air as the surgical team worked frantically around me. Though I've always considered myself a Christian, my faith has become deeper and more real since this experience. I now understand that every thought and choice we make is part of a greater spiritual reality. I'm more aware of my own pride, when I feel superior to others or believe I deserve special treatment. I remember Lucifer's fall and how pride corrupted even the most perfect angel. Jesus emphasized the importance of love and humility. Pride is the root of all sin, but love builds connections, strands of light that strengthen our bond with God and with one another. I strive to foster these connections through acts of kindness, prayer, and reaching out to others. Seeing Lucifer's fall gave me insight into Satan's methods. He rarely appears as overtly evil. Instead, he uses subtle lies, doubts, and temptations to draw people away from God. In heaven, he worked patiently, sowing dissatisfaction and mistrust among the angels. Over time, his angelic beauty burned away, revealing the dark creature he had become. Jesus told me, "I showed you this so you can understand the true nature of evil." Satan was not created evil, he chose pride over love. Free will is powerful, it allows even the most perfect beings to make the wrong choice. This is why faith, humility, and love are so essential. He then led me to what appeared to be the edge of heaven, where I could see earth below. Thin lines of light connected people to heaven and to each other. Jesus showed me how Lucifer's rebellion had spread darkness across the world, with tendrils of shadow attempting to attach to people through doubt, temptation, and fear. Yet, amidst this darkness, strands of light shone brightly. Jesus explained, "These strands are formed through love. Every act of kindness, prayer, and worship strengthens them. Darkness cannot penetrate where love prevails." I realized that spiritual warfare is not about grand battles but daily choices, to align with God's love or fall into selfishness and pride. Humility, love, and prayer are our greatest defenses. Through them, we strengthen our connection to God and create light that the darkness cannot overcome. The loyalty and humility of the angels who remained faithful to God during Lucifer's rebellion was deeply inspiring. While Lucifer and his followers turned inward, consumed by pride and self-interest, the loyal angels stayed focused on their Creator, drawing strength and purpose from Him. Jesus explained that these angels embody true humility, understanding that their beauty, power, and gifts are not their own achievements but blessings from God. When Lucifer tried to tempt them with promises of greater power or knowledge, they rejected his offers with gratitude for what they already had. Their unwavering devotion to God and their selfless love for one another shielded them from Lucifer's manipulations. Instead of seeking attention or status, they found joy in serving God and each other, demonstrating a love so pure that it became a defense against pride and selfishness. Jesus showed me glimpses of how these faithful angels interact with our world. They act as messengers and protectors, often in ways we cannot see or understand. I watched as they strengthened the strands of light that connect people to God and to one another. What struck me most was their love for humanity. Despite being far more powerful and wise than us, they neither looked down on us nor hurried our progress. They celebrated even the smallest steps of spiritual growth, respecting each person's unique journey and the importance of free will. Seeing the effects of Lucifer's rebellion broke my heart. Jesus revealed how this act of defiance sent ripples through all of creation, bringing decay and death to a world once filled with only life and growth. Sin didn't just affect human hearts, it altered the very fabric of existence. Natural disasters, predatory instincts in animals, and the struggles of the physical world all trace back to this rebellion. Yet, even in this brokenness, Jesus showed me hope. I saw how creation itself longs for redemption. Acts of love and obedience to God don't just push back the darkness in human hearts. They have the power to restore harmony in the world around us. Jesus explained that Satan, despite his cunning, is a created being, not an equal opposite to God. He can deceive, tempt, and manipulate, but he cannot force anyone to sin. The power of choice remains with us. Jesus showed me how Satan and his fallen angels, now demons, twist the truth, making bad things seem good and good things seem bad. They sow pride, anger, and division, aiming to pull people away from God and each other. I witnessed moments in human history when greed, pride, and the thirst for power led to unspeakable horrors. But alongside these, I also saw acts of love, sacrifice, and faith fighting back against the darkness. Jesus emphasized that the battle that began in heaven continues on earth, not with swords and armies but in the hearts and minds of all people. Every choice we make, every act of love or selfishness, is part of this ongoing struggle. Through humility, love, and faith, we can align ourselves with God's light, pushing back the darkness and strengthening the bonds that connect us to Him and to one another. Jesus offered me glimpses of the future, but he was clear that these were not fixed events. The future, he explained, is shaped by the collective choices humanity makes in response to God's love. The ultimate goal of history is for all things to be reconciled with God. But the journey to that end can take many forms. It could unfold slowly and peacefully, marked by acts of love and compassion, or it could be turbulent and painful, driven by fear, pride, and rejection. The outcome, however, is certain. Love will ultimately triumph. You can be sure that love will win in the end, Jesus told me, but the path depends on your free will. Each act of love brings the day of renewal closer. The glimpses of the future he shared were unlike anything I had imagined. They were not physical scenes, like watching a movie, but more like profound understandings, mental and spiritual impressions that transcended words. I experienced Christ's return not as a single, dramatic event but as an unveiling of reality. It was as though the veil separating the physical and spiritual worlds was lifted, and everyone could see the true nature of existence. The spiritual realm became visible, revealing the interconnectedness of all things and the ultimate truth of God's love. In this moment, judgment wasn't like a trial in a courtroom. There were no accusations or defenses, no external decisions being handed down. Instead, it was a final unveiling of each person's true essence, shaped by the choices they had made throughout their lives. Those who had chosen love and fostered connection with others naturally gravitated toward God's light, drawn by its beauty and warmth. Meanwhile, those who had embraced selfishness and turned away from love found the brightness of divine love unbearable. Not because they were rejected but because they could not accept it. Judgment is not something I impose, Jesus explained. It is the ultimate result of the choices people make, to accept love or to reject it. I learned that true, humble love is the most powerful force in the universe. It is the thread that binds all creation together and gives life its deepest meaning. Lucifer fell because he turned away from love and toward himself, consumed by pride and self-interest. Yet, we rise when we turn toward love and away from selfishness, embracing humility and selflessness. Every choice we make matters. Jesus showed me that even the smallest decisions, to be kind, to forgive, to show patience, are part of a much larger plan. We don't have to accomplish grand, world-changing feats to play our role in God's design. Instead, it's in the small, everyday moments where we choose love over anger, generosity over greed, and humility over pride that we align ourselves with His will. One of the most profound lessons I learned is that no matter how bleak or hopeless things may appear, love will always prevail. This victory will not come through force or coercion but through the free choices of those who understand and embrace love's supreme value. Every act of love we choose, no matter how small it may seem, strengthens the light in the world. These acts weave threads of connection and hope into the great tapestry of creation. I saw how these threads of love counteract the darkness that tries to spread. While evil seeks to divide and destroy, love binds and builds. Each strand of light, created by acts of love and faith, brings us closer to the ultimate renewal of all things. Jesus showed me that the tapestry is incomplete but growing, and with every choice to love, we participate in its creation. The day when all things will be made new is not only certain but also glorious beyond comprehension. However, the timing and the path to that renewal depend on the choices humanity makes in the present. Jesus emphasized that the gift of free will is both a profound responsibility and an incredible opportunity. Each decision we make, every act of kindness, every moment of forgiveness, every choice to love rather than hate, moves us closer to the fulfillment of God's ultimate plan for creation. Through these choices, we don't just wait passively for redemption, we actively participate in it. Jesus explained that every loving act strengthens the bonds of light connecting us to God and to one another. Weaving threads into the great tapestry of His design, we become co-creators in this divine story, shaping a future where love, humility, and unity triumph over darkness, pride, and division. This role is not reserved for grand gestures but is built through the small, everyday acts that align our hearts with God's purpose. Jesus reminded me that even the simplest expressions of love ripple outward, contributing to a greater good that we cannot fully see. By embracing this, we help to usher in a future where love reigns supreme and all creation is restored to its intended glory. Do you have thoughts and experiences similar to mine? If so, please share them with me. If you believe in God and near-death experiences, subscribe to Life at NDE today. Discover inspiring messages from God through powerful near-death stories that bring hope and understanding. Hit subscribe now and join us in spreading the light of faith.